topics don't go too well, things like that. But to your first point, I've been in theater, not so much recently, but I was in theater from when I was about 6 up until I was maybe 19. And yeah, I was always one of those people who always wanted the lead part, but I was always too nervous to put in the work to get the part with the auditions.
I see you're a man of culture as well.
So it would get, a lot of times it would be like I would perform in the talent show, and I would do something like my senior year for my talent show. I did almost forgot what I did.
Ooh,
I did Creep.
nice.
And yeah, and it went over really well. I was really proud of myself. And then I had auditioned for something like maybe, I think it was like a week later, and I don't even think I read it over correctly, like my script. Yeah, and it was just, it's like you said, it's just the amount of work put into something to get the result that you can dream of is impossible. If you put in just enough work, you might do good enough to where you feel proud, but you're never going to meet your own expectations.
That's a hard lesson to learn, especially when, I have my days where I wake up and I'm like, let's do this. Like, I'm so ready. And then there's other days where it's like, you know what? Maybe I should just go back to school and, hang it up here. And it's frustrating because I know how bad I want being a musician and to travel and all that, but it's a lot of work, and it's taken until now to really this past year where I've really realized how much I value just sitting down and not focusing on uploading YouTube videos and just kind of focusing on my music.
Mm-hmm. That being said, it definitely hasn't affected the quality of your work. I want to play a little bit of, because we've mentioned it a ton, so I'm going to play a little bit of Polaroid. And it definitely, like I said, has not affected your quality. So what's your biggest inspiration for this style of your music?
Honestly, my influences have been kind of changing a lot for quite some time. The past year or so, I'd say, 21 Pilots will always kind of influence me in one way or another.
Yeah, you can hear that a lot with the backing.
They've definitely influenced me a lot with pretty much a lot of my music, but I'd say this year, probably artists like Nothing Nowhere and the 1975.
Yeah, I can definitely hear the Nothing Nowhere, especially in this.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of hard to rattle off a list off the top of my head, but I'd say definitely, those three for sure. I'd say. I mean, there's other ones that in this song you'd be like, yeah, I don't hear that. But artists like Frank Ocean and even John Bellion, I guess, is another one that maybe kind of comes through. But
yeah, I can kind of hear it, especially with the amount of work you put in, because he has a bunch of documentaries on his stuff, and it's very clear you probably put in the same, if not more work, especially in one like this, because this is really well
I
put
appreciate
together.
that, man. I've put so much time into my music, and it's crazy to think about how much time really goes into one single song. Dude, there's been times where I've literally worked on the same song for 10 hours in a day, driving myself crazy.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like, even editing this, there are times where you gotta stop and you're just working yourself into a circle, and
I get fresh ears, so to say, and take a step back. I have so much trouble doing that sometimes because I'm so stubborn. I'm like, no, I have to get this part. I have to get this right now, or else I will not get it right ever again.
Yeah, I remember hearing once, this might make you feel a bit better, Daft Punk, there's some songs that they do that they leave on a shelf for sometimes even close to 4 years to see how the song ages with music. And then if it still holds up those years later, then they'll release the song.
God.
It's crazy, but that would give me anxiety, even though it wasn't anywhere. Just it's sitting there,
I can't believe Daft Punk.
I don't know how you could do that.
I don't know. That's insane to me to think about what scale a band or a group like Daft Punk is on to just kind of leave their stuff on a shelf for, you know, a couple months or maybe a year or 2 years, and they come back to it. They're like, yeah, this is garbage, and it could be actually amazing. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's such a scary thought.
The Polaroid definitely took a good chunk of time. I'd say the title track of this EP took the most time because
Here's to Getting Better,
so
right?
The title track for Here's Getting Better. The cool story with that, and something I kind of love telling this story because it just kind of speaks to me as
of course, go ahead.
How I write and like the kind of way I operate as a musician. I was probably with Ellie, my girlfriend, for I don't know 3 months at this point, and sometimes something I do is, whether it's a guitar or like my ukulele, I'll just kind of pick it up and just, you know, play random stuff, whether it's like pretending to solo on it or like, you know, just kind of, it's like my fidget spinner. We'll put it that way. Like, I just kind of pick it up and just, you know, play around with it, and when I'm done with it, I'll put it back. But sometimes I'll have moments where I'm like, oh, this actually sounds kind of cool, and I had one of those moments with the first riff of Here's Getting Better. Like, I just started, like, coming up with it, and I was with Ellie, and I was like, okay, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I have to record this right now before I forget. Like, I have to plug this thing to my computer.
Oh, wow.
And, like, get it down. And she's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, go for it. So I was like, okay, cool. So I, like, literally plugged in my interface and, like, recorded this riff, and before I knew it, it was like, you know, an hour or two had passed, and she was just kind of watching me do this, and like that was like the skeleton of Here's Getting Better. It was like that one night where I was just fiddling around with my ukulele and came up with a riff that I was like, dude, this is cool. So from there, like, I worked on that song basically until the day I had to turn it in for the release date I set to myself. Like, I was driving myself nuts. And
oh, wow.
One big change that I had this year was I've been in my bedroom for, you know, the entire time I've lived here in this house, and my sister, like, I've never changed rooms. I've never, you know, I've always recorded and slept and played video games all in my room. Like,
I've never left this room in my life.
To this room on my own accord for 23 years, and I finally decided.
Please send help.
Yeah,
I'm very
I
hungry.
I decided to come out and shave my face, and my sister and my brother are not in this house, and I've utilized my sister's old room as kind of like my music and my streaming room now. So I started writing that song while I was in my bedroom, and then I finished it when I pretty much completed putting together this room. So I was just like driving myself insane with that song, because basically the timeline of that would be like, I don't know, 2 months of time between just like starting that song and then like turning it in.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You know, I have moments like that where songs take forever, and it's usually to my own detriment because I'm just so stubborn about it. But then I have other times where I could crank out a song in like a night and, you know, feel accomplished. It's just very strange how that entire thing works. And you could probably ask, you know, you could ask 10 different people who write music, and they'll probably give you 10 different answers. It's crazy.
So how many songs do you have sitting on a shelf that you don't like or don't want to put up right now?
If I had a physical shelf that you could look at of songs that I, you know, are half...
Yeah, I'm talking like IKEA.
Yeah, they're half finished or, you know, finished and I didn't release them. This shelf would probably be crooked and falling off the wall. I don't know. I was literally going through old stuff today, actually, on my YouNow stream, and it's so weird because some stuff I literally don't remember writing, and I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty cool. There's like a file from 2 years ago that I was like, why didn't I finish this? And no, even now, I try my best to write as much as I can, because usually I come up with like one idea a day, or I try to at least, and you know, sometimes all of those ideas suck, and I was like, okay, well, at least I gave it a shot. Like, I used an hour of time and it didn't work, and now I can move on. I don't have to worry like, oh, I should have tried recording that. Dude, I have no idea. That question is so loaded because I just think about between my desktop computer and like my laptop, I do probably, you know, unreleased stuff and unfinished stuff. We probably over 50 at least. It's like
Wow.
like concerning.
Yeah, that's a lot to sit on.
That's a mediocre sized
I can't imagine Daft Punk.
Yeah, I would say so. I know. It's the same one holding all their Grammys, so it's pretty heavy
dude.
already.
Yeah, actually though, are they doing it? Do you follow them at all? I legitimately don't know if they are still doing stuff.
Yeah, not too much lately. It's kind of one of those things with them where I really enjoy them, but I never search their stuff out because it's almost like wine at Thanksgiving. You know, it's like when you're a kid mostly because it's like, oh, cool, my dad's like have a sip of this wine today. It's kind of how I feel about their music.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. I haven't really delved too much into their discography either, but I just admire Daft Punk as like just their production alone. It's just so interesting to like pick apart, and like I'm pretty sure they probably won some sort of whatever Grammy or whatever sort of award for like you listen to their music, and
definitely
an artist like John Bellion too reminds me of this kind of like these intricacies that some artists put into their music, and you really have to listen to it with like nice headphones, and it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's crazy too about especially John Bellion is I've seen him live, and when you see him live, it's like he somehow manages to actually recreate the experience of listening to his song live, even though there's so much to it.
I've seen him. Let's see. I think I've seen him 2 or 3 times now, and he uses like his little sample pad and like.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like especially when he does songs like New York Soul, which you would think just would not work too well live because there's so much to him, and he gets every single person. Even people like, you know, a parent who brings their kid to go see, every single person is just so.
That's what's so special about live shows, and that's something like seeing an artist like John Bellion or a band like 21 Pilots perform and seeing all that goes into the live show and the music. That's like, as an aspiring artist and musician, like I want to do that so bad, and that's why.
Yeah, you definitely have the music to do it because I think for John Bellion is a good example, and you know 21 Pilots too. There's so much work in their music, and they show it off so well live because they appreciate what they created themselves so much. And I think especially from you talking about your own music, you show the same kind of appreciation. So I'm sure once you find, you know, the right equipment and the right kind of staging you want to do, that your live shows will give a really similar vibe as even those, you know, professionals. Because it's just you'll have the same kind of connection to what you're putting out there, and it'll be hard for someone, especially somebody who's going to see you, to not.
I'm glad he can see that and what I talk about, because I super resonate like with just the story of 21 Pilots, and like, you know, like recently I saw from, I don't know, I think it's one of the Facebook groups I was in, or I am in currently. It's a like Skeleton Click Facebook group. And somebody posted, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, because I certainly didn't even think to look it up, but there's like a distorted vocal clip in the hype of like Tyler Joseph talking from the Regional at Best studio sessions, and it's like this little clip of him talking that's distorted in the hype. And basically the quote's just like, he wants to make up for the fact that there's only 2 people writing this music, and he wants to like create the same kind of energy and make sure people don't like realize that it's only 2 people behind it. And that's something that they achieve so well, I think, is you listen to their songs and you're like, wow, this could be like, this is a band. And then you go see them live, it's just like, hi, I'm Tyler and this is Josh, and you know, we're gonna play you some songs. Like, it's so like crazy the contrast between all the work they put in and how big their live show is, to like knowing that only 2 people are behind that is so crazy. And the fact, one of their first like traveling shows, I think they like played in Chicago to like 6 people.
Yeah, you can still find videos of them playing in like living rooms and stuff. It's wild.
Yeah, I think if 21 Pilots can play in a living room and, you know, however many, like a half decade later play in arenas that